I love that Carol has all
All
this.
right, you're good, Cheryl.
Thank you. Well, again, welcome everyone. Happy to see you all. If you're joining us for the first time, my name is Cheryl Cortese, and I'm a National Marketing Director with the Juice Plus Company, and have actually this month is my 34th anniversary. So I'm starting my 35th year with the Juice Plus Company and looking forward to the next 35. But it is, as Lisa said, and so many of you said, it's a wonderful experience. It's a wonderful community. And I think that this call exemplifies that extremely well. I mean, people do come together, excuse me, from all the national marketing director teams to bring stories, to bring info. But as we start this call tonight, here we are. It's already, can we believe it? I think, what's the date? Is it the 12th, the 13th, something like that of January? Has everybody got their New Year's resolutions all in place? You're all off and running with that. So hopefully, but for me, all those things that we really put in place at the beginning of the year, really looking for that additional health. And I'm going to stay really close to the nutritional support for my body and the exercise and all those things. So that recommitment's important. But I think that really the recommitment at this point is, what are we doing? How are we stretching out to reach people? I think this is an extremely important time of my whole 34 years. I can't think of a time when it's been more important. We are the people who can make the difference for people out there in the world. Many of us were talking today about just the fact that people are tired. They're more or less lethargic, you might say, in regard to just the whole experience we've had over the past 2 years. And yet they're in more need than they've ever been before, from a standpoint of health, securing their health, really feeling confident and secure about the immune system, and of course the need for that supplemental income, and not just necessarily need, but also desire. A desire to be in control of your own financial future, to be able to work from home if you choose to. So we have so much to offer, and especially, community underlines that very well. I do want to comment on a few of the things that were said in the stories, and I love the stories. The stories are the foundation of who and what we are. And when Lon said, pay attention, she's done that business, she's built her business and continues to build it in stolen moments. For so many of us that started our businesses, it was, whenever we could weave it in, just weave it into time. And then the persistence. I loved hearing her persistence. Who's the man who now is going to put how many tower gardens? It seemed like I heard many, many, many tower gardens, because she was persistent. So persistence is a huge part of, that underlying foundation for success. I also wanted to go back to something that Katie said as well, is that she didn't realize maybe what might be missing as far as health. I think sometimes we more or less get used to, we forget what it feels like to feel really good, because it kind of sneaks up on us gradually that we don't feel good. I know when uh, the berry came out, Juice Plus Berry Blend, because we only had fruits and vegetables for many years, and then the berry blend came in, and I felt great on the fruit and vegetable. And then I started taking the berry blend, and I just, the mental clarity, I didn't even realize I had any mental clarity missing, So it's amazing to me as we really continue to expand our product line, to be really consistent with our product, the wonderful good things that happen to your body. When Amy was saying that, she doubles up, I mean, that has become so prevalent as far as our company. And we have Dr. Paul Williams. Many of you may know him. He has been the Juice Plus doctor. He is, from a corporate standpoint, and advising us all the time. But we've gotten where we call him Dr. Double Up, because anytime you hear him, and anybody saying, well, this seems to be having a, just double up, just double up. So I have to comment on that, Amy, is that we've all experienced that, that doubling up can make a huge difference if you feel like you've had some sort of exposure, if you feel like you're not just on totally as, as good as you can feel. So anyway, the stories are the foundation. And Lisa and I were talking today. And so if we look at this new year and we look at the fact that, you know, we have been in a situation for 2 years that has certainly taken an emotional toll, a physical toll, a mental toll on everyone. And I truly believe, I mean, if you look at any type of crisis, and I would certainly call this a crisis, uh, whether it be a natural disaster, something that is a problem, war, all of the things that happen to mankind that are not so good. There are people that need help, and then there are people that come to help. And I truly believe that we are the people right now. It's a call to action for us because we facilitate an answer to so many things that are needed today. So if we think about this new year, making the New Year's resolutions, wanting to have the best health, the best body, the best business, the best life possible with a wonderful community, where do we start? If you're going to press the restart button, where do you start? Well, Lisa and I were talking about, how she loves to interact with people. I think I said that to somebody just yesterday, that my greatest joy in this business is I like the people. I like meeting people. I like hearing their stories. Everybody's got a story, and I like knowing people. I like it when people feel good. I like it when they're happy. I like it when I'm part of that. And so I wanted Lisa to comment on, we were going to talk tonight about, where do you go? How do you reach the people? How do you interact with the people so that they can hear the stories? Certainly bringing people to this call, and I'm going to encourage you all, you know, continue to invite people to this call. Bring them to the call because the stories are really what, was it Amy that said too, that, you know, it was the stories of the people that she helped that really fueled her own emotion and her own drive. For all of us, that works as that happens. So where and how are you going to go about finding the people that become the customers, that become the partners, that become successful with you together? It is a together thing. So Lisa said she loved that. I'm going to ask her to mention how she goes about it, where she finds people. I'll comment on it, and we'll ask you to comment on it tonight too, because that's kind of where it starts. Where do you go? What do you say? And what do you do? So Lisa?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've all had challenges now with COVID, right? Because we used to be out and about. Like I had said, you meet people on the airplane, you meet people in the grocery store. It's a little more difficult right now, but it can still be done. So there's also a lot, we could do online. Okay. So if you're on Facebook, look for some groups that interest you, whatever that might be. If you have a red Ferrari, go in the red Ferrari group, build relationships in that group. Okay. That's just one way. You can reach out to your customers and ask them, who do you know? Like, I know you've been having such a great experience with Juice Plus. Do you have a few people that you might want to recommend that would be okay if I contacted? There's always referrals. Referrals are great. LinkedIn. So however you want to position yourself on LinkedIn. So like, for instance, I will go on there as a health coach. People, if you're a personal trainer, if whatever other, you may have another profession in addition to Juice Plus, you can certainly meet people that way. But I had done a job post a while ago, and I met a lot of people that way. I got a really great customer from that. You might, for every 10 or 20 that you meet, you might just get one or two, but it's okay, because that one or two can lead you to somebody else, right? So what you would do is go on LinkedIn, create your profile, get that right, and just connect with people that have the same interest as you. And for me, I would just reach out and say, hey, do you have a nutritional component in your practice? If they're health coaches, and you can reach out like that. So you can do that with any of your doctor's offices, your chiropractor's offices, that you can reach out. Hey, do you have a nutritional component? Have you ever, and my famous line that I was telling Cheryl that I heard this on one of our calls recently is, has anyone ever shared Juice Plus with you before? Because I just feel like that sounds so natural instead of just, I'm not sure I'm trying to think what I used to say. Have you ever heard about Juice Plus? I just think, has anyone ever shared it with you before? And that just opens the door, like Cheryl and I were saying, opens the door to the conversation. No, what is it? And so that's when you can, start talking about it. But like, so for instance, I was at lunch with someone yesterday that was telling me all about her autoimmune disorders. So I said, has anyone ever shared this with you before? Which led to more conversations. You want to find out what they need, though. In a lot of these cases, when you're going to meet people face to face, if they share a health issue, it's always about finding out what they need, what they're going through. Then you can say, when you hear and you talk and you really go through it and you try to help them, I think I may have something for you. Would you be open to me sending you a link so you can learn a little bit more about what it is that I've been doing for the past 13 years? It's completely changed my health. And most people are like, yeah, sure. And then it's really about, following up with that. And it's not about saying, what did you think? Because that's not going to, you want to be really excited and very passionate about it, because we really do need people buy us. They're not buying Juice Plus. They're really buying our excitement, our passion. If you're not feeling passionate about this, it's not the right thing. If you are, and as we all probably are on this line, we know we have to make a change in people. We know we have to help people, especially now. So really that's kind of like how I go about it with anybody in person. So then same with like, we did a table at the gym the other night. Oh, there was a girl that ordered. I had her on my text from 2019, June 2000, and she ordered today. So you never know. The fortune is in the follow-up. Just, she came back up to our table. So if you're doing tables, like we were here in Alabama, we can do that. I know a lot of places you can't, but be consistent. It's about being consistent, and then they see you there again. Oh, okay. And while I was there, I met a guy that had an incredible experience on Juice Plus. He's been on it for a year. He's like, "Oh, you setting up your Juice Plus?" I'm like, "Yeah. What do you know about it?" And he told me, and I was psyched, and he's been recommending it to people. I'm like, "You should do what we do. You can do this too." So, you just never know. And health fairs. I'm doing a health fair on the 22nd of this month, like a 4-hour health fair. Look for health fairs, talk to people, ask them. You can put a questionnaire out. How many fruits and vegetables do you eat? Do you think you're getting that? And what about the variety? Just ask them. People want to talk. They love to talk about themselves. Find out everything about them, because then once you do, and you let them like ditch the pitch that we do, let them do the talking and find out exactly how you can help them. And it just,
And that's so
it,
important. That's, can't underline that enough. And I wanted to comment on some of the things you said too, because hopefully tonight you're all really paying attention to the comments that she's making, to the things that are, being said, the questions that are being asked. As you become involved in a conversation. And of course, one of the reasons we record this is so you can go back and look at it if you want to, and pick up on some of those things that are said sometimes that, we say, oh, I want to remember that. And we don't always capture it right at that moment. But again, just, that conversation and listening to people and really hearing what it is they want and need. I know Lisa described some of the things as far as going online, Facebook, LinkedIn. I have to say I'm not very proficient at any of those things, but I do love talking to people, and that I have found that even in the midst of this situation, people do come and go in your life. They show up at the door with packages, or they come to clean your carpets, or the plumber comes in. My plumber, the man who cleans the carpets, all of these people are on Juice Plus, because we had that conversation, about, well, how are you feeling about what's going on? How are you taking care of yourself, or, yourself and your family? So everybody is concerned. So really it's tapping into what that person wants for themselves. As Lisa was saying, what's needed, what's wanted. I know that as she was mentioning some of this, one of the things that I'll say too, and she had some very good lines, so you want to make sure that you make note of those as well, is I'll ask someone after they've looked at information, tell me what you liked about what you read or what you heard or what you saw. That has worked very well for me because I am pre-framing something where the person has to give me a positive response. Tell me what you liked about what you saw, what you read, what, yeah, that has been a good one for me. Also, if we talk about conversations that you have with people, and today, actually, I had a chiropractic appointment actually with someone who, and this was one of the first times I'd been there, but they do this kind of detox foot bath thing in like a little spa area. So it has 6 chairs and it's 45 minutes. And so people are a distance from each other. They all have on masks, but we're all sitting there in a foot bath. Okay. So for 45 minutes, you have enough time, to make conversation. They're there for a reason, obviously. I've started talking about, the fact that I really work at trying to stay healthy, especially now. And just conversation about, what is it that brings you here? What do you think of this? Before long, there's enough conversation that I can ask people about, uh, their concerns. What are they worried about? How are they handling this situation now? And at this point, there's, information that's going to go out to 4 of the 6 people that were in the room. So, it's just looking for that opportunity at every given moment. I've always looked at my business as something where I just weaved in, what I had through conversation. And I love when Lisa said, has anybody ever told you about Juice Plus, or has anyone ever shared it with you? I love that word shared too. She and I were talking about that. Has anyone ever shared Juice Plus with you? That really leaves the door open. And you can either, the conversation will either go forward or it's going to stop. And if it stops, then you move on to somebody else. They're not ready. They're not interested to hear for whatever reason. But right now, I find that the majority of people are really interested to hear. And so, the same goes for our business, is that, again, to ask people things like, well, how has this affected your business? What's happening in your business world? People are either, things are going well or they're not going well. If someone says to me, things that it's been interesting, we've really done fine even in these times. And I'll say, the same things happen to us, is we've been very fortunate. Our business has really flourished during this time, but there's probably good reason for it. People really want what we have. Now I'm going to wait long enough for that person to ask me what I have, because then I get to, tell without, I guess you would say, once they ask, they're chasing you instead of you chasing them. If they say business is not going well, that they're really worried. So, again, it's to identify and acknowledge that feeling, because a lot of people are worried right now, and to share that feeling, but then also to say, you may be interested in what I do. It may be something that would make a difference for you, or it might fit you well. I've already at that point usually had enough conversation with the person so that I can kind of wrap it around, what their concerns are, what their worries are, what their fears are. I think it's really important to, and I've said this my whole career, if you look at acquiring a customer or a new team member, you're really looking at that being a process. You every now and then, and again, I'll go back to the people who clean my carpet. They saw the Juice Plus on the counter. I didn't really have to do much work at all. Okay. I didn't have to say much. He saw the Juice Plus on the counter and he said, that stuff looks really good. I don't know if it was the color of the bottles, what it was, but, again, it was somebody who's really concerned about their health. They want to stay healthy. So as soon as he said that, I got to say more, and he ordered immediately. But most people, it's a process. Or becoming a team member, it might be certainly in that situation, it's a process. It's usually 2 to 3 times that you're going to have a conversation. Actually, there were statistics. We looked at statistics as far as that's concerned. And usually for customers, it's 2 to 3 exposures. And for new team members, it's almost always 3 exposures. So, it may not happen in the very first conversation, but it's very important to close for the next conversation. In other words, what are you going to say that makes sure that you get to come back around to have another conversation? Uh, for me, one of the things that's worked really well is to say, well, where do we go from here? When do we want to speak again? Do you need information from me or what? A lot of times the person is already asked, but I'm going to ask about when is the next time to secure the next time that we speak. Now, Lisa said something that I think is also very powerful and important. Who was it that, did you say in 2019, the person, Lisa, had come by? Uh, so,
Yeah, 2006, June 2019, I had texted her and I had followed up and called, and it's just, I guess, wasn't the time.
right. But what Lisa had going there was what you might refer to as an active contact list, is that here was somebody that she had potential. And so you're gathering that all the time. That's the other thing about our business that I think is really important to realize is that, you know, I actually the longest, this one though, you don't want to, you hope it doesn't take this long. I had someone that I had presented this to 21 years later shows up, okay? And you have to be here about 35 years for that to happen. But at any rate, you know, you just don't know when the time is right. So really accumulating the conversations, the names. Today, it's so much easier, with our phones, with the way that we can accumulate a database. You can do that much more easily than we could in the past. But to really touch base every now and then with people, or to, reach out with new information. Anytime anything changes, like, when the Omegas came out, or even this latest Perform, anytime there's something new, anytime there's an event, uh, any opportunity to reach out to people again for both product or business, you want to take advantage of that. And so again, tonight our goal was hopefully to give you some words to use and I love that too, as she said, has anyone ever shared Juice Plus with you? Uh, and today, also in a conversation in that same office that I was in, someone asked me what I did, for a living, what was my job. And I'll usually say something to the effect. I usually start it, at least now, with, I traveled so much with my job before, and now it's all virtual. I'm going to be quiet long enough so that somebody says, well, what do you do? Because uh, then again, they're chasing you, you're not chasing them. I then have the opportunity to tell. So this particular girl, I said, well, you just can't imagine. I market fruit and vegetable powder and capsules, and people absolutely love it. They just love it. And it's so good for them, and it's so healthy. Now, usually the person says, well, I need to know more about that. Tell me a little more. What she said, well, I've been on it for years. It's the most wonderful thing, isn't it? So you never know exactly what response you're going to get. But if you don't cast the net, you're not going to catch any fish. Okay. So, it's what are those little, you might say, one-liners to ask people what they do for a living if you're just in conversation wherever. Um, I used to be really good in dress shops. I haven't been in as many dress shops over the last 2 years, but I was pretty good about, talking to everybody in the store, that either was waiting on me or trying things on or whatever. And before long, it would come to, health concerns, income, things of this nature, just asking people what they do for a living. Tell me about your family. Do you have children? Uh, anything that is going to start conversation. where you can then bring it around to listening long enough so that you can wrap this around whatever it is that person is looking for. If it, if there's a possibility for health concerns, income concerns, or community. When Lisa said, if you're going to go on Facebook, if you love Ferraris, go with the Ferraris, whatever you love, because this is the other thing we found is that people who are like-minded usually have the same type of desires. So it would be very common for someone who likes what you like to very good possibility that they would think in the same way. So it makes it a lot easier to have that conversation about everything from good health to entrepreneurship. Lisa, anything else you or anybody on the line that might want to comment? Any of you who spoke tonight as to what you say? What are those openings and closes? And when I say close, it's not just closing for a product sale or a new team member to become a partner. It's closing from one conversation to the next, the follow-up, but also in that follow-up procedure, you're setting it up so that you can follow up. It might be something to the effect that, well, do you want us to talk in 2 days? Do you want me to call you? Would you like me to text you? How do you best communicate? Some people like email, some like text. I happen to be one that likes text. Some people actually like to hear your voice. So try to find out enough as to how you're going to connect. Lisa, anything else you want to share? Would anybody else like to share?
No, I just love I love how you said I market fruits and veggies in a capsule and people absolutely love it. That's a great line.
Well, that line has actually worked for 30 years. Okay.
I love that.
But I think if you really structure the conversation to where you get or give a positive, a positive intro or a positive experience. When I ask someone to tell me what they liked about what they read or saw, if they've heard about Juice Plus, what have you heard that you like about Juice Plus? Always asking for the positive. Realize that we live in, unfortunately, a very negative society at this point. The news never tells you anything that's really, going to be positive, right? Because it's built on sensationalism. People are more or less taught to report the negative. We come by that honestly, and again, it's unfortunate, but it does happen to us because of the society we live in. And unfortunately, too, right now, a lot that's going on in the world is negative. So if you look at our community and what our community brings, if we just had the one mission to bring positivity, gratitude, really the fact that so many people have been isolated so long, there's a great deal of loneliness, there's a great deal of isolation. Today, actually, I had a conversation with this chiropractor, and I mentioned that I had referred him to someone that was a good friend who's a psychotherapist. And he said, oh my goodness, he said, do they take patients? He says, I can't tell you how many people come in every day that are really, really struggling emotionally. And he said it has so much to do with the situation we're in. So if you think about what is our mission, what's our call to action, the community that we have to offer people. I, never envisioned that my business would eventually evolve to virtual. Okay. One of the things I always loved about this was the people to people, face to face. I enjoy that, as I said when I started the call tonight, is I really love the people aspect. But how grateful I am that in this 2-year period, I've been able to see your faces and hear your voices and, stay connected as a community. And I think that this is something we have to offer that's exceptional right now, and that we want to reach out to do that. So as we look at business development, our company, I mean, we were talking about that the other day on one of our founders calls, is that we have been extremely blessed. And I have to say, and I'll say this, I've always felt like God had his hand on this company, because we've, in difficult times, we've done fine, and in good times, we've done fine. You know, we really have had a consistent success record. But I think it's a company that's extremely well intended. There's a huge desire to service mankind, and that comes right from Jay Martin, our company president. So if you look at, you know, the fact that we really have, we've had a really good experience from a business standpoint, even in spite of the fact that the world is struggling. So we have that to offer. That is, I think, a moral responsibility as well as a business strategy, is that, you know, we can make a difference. So I would encourage all of you here, as we start this new year, our projections as a company, and it will happen, we will double our business by 2025. So we're the beginning of 2022. We're talking about 3 years. Even, you know, even if we fell short a little bit, but we're right on track to do it. Think what that means. You know, we're right at $1 billion in production now as a company. Think what that means. Think what that means to the businesses that you all have. So, you know, we're either going to, and I've said this often in my career, we're either going to watch the parade, we're going to join the parade, or we're going to lead the parade. And I would encourage you to lead the parade and really take part in that growth that's going to happen. But that's only going to happen if you have those conversations. If you reach out and, you know, put your arms around people, and when I mean that, you know, not so much literally, since that's not something that we're really doing much of, even though we'd like to, but, you know, if figuratively, is to really, as a community, put your arms around people, invite them into, you know, good health, invite them into being partners to be part of this mission, invite them into a community that's very supportive and like-minded and really wants the best for everybody. So as we close here, and I think we're a few minutes over, I apologize for that, but as we close, this coming weekend, not this weekend, not day after tomorrow or tomorrow, but next weekend, all of you know that we'll be doing the Level Up event, which will be done from studios there in Las Vegas. I'm a little interested to see this, as it is a new form of, I guess you would say, technology, to not only be able to be at a live event, but to encompass through, to really encompass the world, to virtually join in. So I would really encourage you all to participate in that virtually. If anybody, there are some tickets available that I have. I would encourage you, if you would like to do that. If you don't have a ticket and you need one for the virtual event, reach out to a new customer, a new team member, and I'll provide that ticket for both you and the new customer, a new team member. Make sure you get a little business for it at the same time. But we do have some of those available for that, because I bought a block of tickets. So anyway, hopefully you'll all be either involved, participating virtually. I know some of you on this line will be there personally, and we look forward to that as well. So anyway, if you do need a ticket and you have a new customer or a new team member, if you will email me at Cortese Group, that's CORTESEGROUP at AOL.com. We'll see to it that that happens for you. Okay. So Lisa, thank you so much. And I appreciate your input tonight with me. And
absolutely. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Absolutely. And the stories were amazing. So
yes, they were.
Close it, turn it back over to Carol. What do we do? Good night. Yes.
Oh,
Good night, everyone.
good night.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Another amazing
Good night,
call.
everybody.
That was so great. Thank you
It
so much.
was. Good
Lots of
night.
notes.
Thank
Night,
you, Ms.
everybody.
Wonderful.
Y'all have a good